In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my macro bar. I've had this requested a couple times on how I set that up. So it's basically just a few GUI textures that are rendered to the screen, and depending on if there's a cooldown or not, the textures in the text will pop up. And it's set to a certain layer, so it all renders in a certain order. And then the cooldown is just using a timer or a delta time, and it's calculating out if the cooldown is still active or not, or to switch it back. So if we go in the code, we'll need a couple of variables to do this. Cooldown 1, which is a float, and this is what we're going to be using to check how long our cooldown is. So our cooldown will be 1 second, and you could set this higher if you wanted to, but I just have it set to 1.0. And then cooldown 1 active equals false. This will be used for displaying if our I think cooldown 1 active. I have to go check this out real quick. Yeah, that's for our update function to tell whether we should be checking for the cooldown or not. That's to start the cooldown. And the other thing is for when we actually click the button. It'll activate this, it'll show the GUI objects, it'll change that, and it'll start the cooldown. So that's what we're going to be using that for, which attack 1 cooldown is what we're going to be calling after we press the button to start the cooldown and activate everything. And I know a lot of this stuff is still static, it shouldn't be static, but I haven't gotten around to changing everything to be the specific way to code it so we can read off different scripts and such. So for now I'm just leaving it like this. In the future I'm just going to get rid of all the statics and change it out for the other code. But yeah, so we can scroll down here into our onGUI function where we handle our GUI code. And so if attack 1 cooldown equals true. So if we press the key to activate our attack, it'll change this from false to true. So if we go into our player attacks, we press the 1 key, and we want to check if the attack cooldown is equal to false as well, so we can't constantly call this, and we'll do attack fire. And then we go to the function and we do all that stuff, and we do player stats cooldown equals true. Now it looks like I also have this in here, which I believe I can take that out because I'm already using a different timer for that. I guess that code's been around there for a while. But yeah, that's all you need. It'll change attack 1 cooldown to true. And then, let's see here. Actually, we might still need that code. I don't know why I set it up with that timer, because depending on the different stuff. If it is in player stats, we might just be able to copy that. So we'll save that, we'll take this, and we'll toss it into this else statement. Since I'm dealing with two different variables for that, it'll still need to change the false after 1 second, but instead of changing cooldown in here and in here, we can just handle it all through this code. So yeah, what we'll do, cooldown 1 active equals true, then we'll start our cooldown timer. So as long as cooldown 1 is greater than 0, we're going to keep counting down using delta time, and when it gets below 0, it'll do this else statement, and it'll change it back to 1 and switch all these statements to false. So we won't be able to call any of that anymore. And so we'll have to use the attack again, because it switches back. We'll be able to use the attack again and call that through all again. So pretty much what it'll do, yeah, just draw, here's icon cooldown, which will be what I used was I created a black texture and I made it transparent by 50%, and I saved it as a PNG. And cooldown 1, this is just a label, this is just for text, and I position them in the same position that my icon is located, and here's my icon for my macro bar, and I just position these above that. But you want to draw it in this order, so whatever at the bottom will be first, next one, just like that. And that should be all you need to set up. You'll also want to create a couple of textures for this. So if I can find where my textures, okay, they're right here. So icon, just texture 2D, icon 1 cooldown, texture 2D. So this would be the image of your icon, and this will be the 50% texture that you want to use, or whatever you want to use for your cooldown. You can make it completely black or whatever you want to do. But that's all you need to set up for this. Go in here real quick. So we can take a look down here. Here's our base icon. When I press 1, it will display the 50% opacity texture and the text. And it'll do the cooldown. And you see each time the text resets. And so, yeah, that's all you need to do to set up your macro bar. I'm sure there's a more advanced way to drag and drop different ones around, but for my game in general, each attack will be predetermined once you upgrade, so there's not going to be a way to swap these around, but I will make it a way to keybind to each one differently. So, yeah, my player won't even need to move them around, they can just do that, because people won't be really clicking on these, since when you move your mouse, when you have it unlocked and you move it down, you can't really, it would be a pain to click anyways. So everything's going to be key bound to whatever I have it set for, and that'll be how I'll handle all that stuff.